Tycoon. It's a suffix that when attached to the name of a game is about as useless as simulator. There were just hundreds of these things. But today, I would like to take a look at one that doesn't suck. Zoo Tycoon, developed by Blue Fang Games and published by Microsoft in 2001. And even though it's a Tycoon game, it's not part of the same line as Microprose's Famous Games, or anyone else's for that matter. The Tycoon moniker just became a catch-all term applied to practically any business management game you can imagine, and when I first saw this back then, it didn't strike me as anything special. However, it became one of the more successful titles in the Tycoon non-series. Impressive, considering this was Blue Fang's first game. Although digging a little deeper, you'll find that Blue Fang was founded by Adam Levesque and John Wheeler, veterans of none other than Papyrus Design Group, who, in case you're not aware, created some of the finest driving simulations for MS-DOS and beyond. Inside the box, you get the game on a circular polycarbonate plastic disc, a 37-page manual that details everything you need to know about tycooning zoos, and a stale piece of French toast crunch, found only in this one-of-a-kind LGR edition. Start the game up, and, well, it starts the game right up, skipping the menus entirely and heading straight to the tutorial. This spans several scenarios and guides you through just about everything in the game, from what each menu button does to how to kill people with lions. So, you know, the basics. Otherwise, there are two ways to play. The first is a free play mode, which isn't quite a sandbox, but it does let you play sans objectives and with up to $500,000 in starting capital. But the meat of the game is made up of scenarios, where you'll be given a zoo of dubious quality and a set of goals to achieve in said zoo. These range from adopting a certain number of animals to earning some amount of visitors and prestige to convincing pandas to get it on. And like any true capitalism simulator, the driving force behind everything is money, fueled by supply and demand. As a tycoon of zoos, it is your job to make sure each guest is as happy as possible, because happy people spend money. Simple enough, and it's basically the exact same formula established by games like Theme Park and Roller Coaster Tycoon. What sets Zoo Tycoon apart is the inclusion of animals. So instead of building coasters or log flumes, you'll be building enclosures and habitats. And I must say, this was a refreshing change of pace for games of this ilk, since at the time about the only similar thing I was familiar with was Maxis's Sim Park and Sim Safari. But while those were more about learning ecological climates while building a wildlife preserve, Zoo Tycoon is purely motivated by profit. That's not to say it doesn't feature its own educational content too, because it certainly does. In fact, the game won multiple awards from parenting and teaching organizations, and soon ended up in scholastic catalogs and book fairs across the country. But underneath its kid-friendly facade is a management sim that appeals to all ages. What makes it so compelling? Well, for me, it's a combination of classic tycoon-like business management and the animal-centric theme. I've always enjoyed games in this genre, but the quirks that arise from having to raise, care for, and display animals are fascinating. For one thing, every animal has a unique set of parameters that needs to be tended to. You can't just toss a lion, a rhino, and a chimpanzee into the same cage and call it a day. I mean, you could, but it'd be absolute chaos, and you'll have the authorities shutting you down for animal abuse in no time. Only certain animals can live together, and these animals need to live in just the right habitat. Everything has to be just right, with the precise number of terrain tiles, just the right amount of dirt, grass, and water, and exactly the right number of trees and rocks. Otherwise, the animals will suffer from unhappiness, sickness, loss of sleep, lack of reproductive desires, and so on. Geez, who knew wild animals were so picky? They're just like, hey, could you put a little more dirt in here? I really like dirt. Wait, what is that? 3 dirt tiles? That's one too many. I hate you. Oh, God, you fixed it. But I don't like the moss on that rock. Could you bring me one? No, 2 rocks without moss and a little different shape. And also sand, but not too much sand. Just like 4 tiles. Not 3, not 5. 4 exactly. That's what the animals are like. I'm not even exaggerating, they're that picky. Each time you build a new habitat or expand an old one, you'll have to meticulously tailor the tiles and objects to suit them. Otherwise, they'll be sad, and your customers will be sad, and they'll complain, and they'll spend less money. Also, happy animals reproduce, so you get more of them that you can either sell or keep around for your visitors' viewing pleasure. Of course, with each new animal, you have tweaked requirements for their habitat, meaning you have to do the same tedious process all over again, tile by tile, rock by rock. It gets old, and is my least favorite part of the game. Thankfully, the rest of it is more satisfying. You'll also get to train, hire, and fire employees to keep up with the animals, the services, and the visitors of the zoo. Another hugely important thing to consider are the services and attractions in the zoo, since these will keep visitors entertained and satisfied and spending that cash. Things like restrooms, snack and drink machines, restaurants, gift shops, theaters, reptile and bird houses, and picnic areas. There are also some that essentially provide free money, like the compost building, a place for you to sell animal crap for cash. I called mine Dumps for Dollars. And yeah, you can rename basically anything, which is always fun for us creative yet immature-natured players. And as you might expect, if an animal breaks free, it's awesome. I mean, tragic what happens to those poor people. Nothing quite like watching tigers tear into a group of tourists as they scream, running for their lives in vain. But the game didn't end there, with 2 expansions being released, Dino Digs and Marine Mania. These were later bundled with some online content and sold as the complete collection, and is the version to get if you're looking for a collectively complete experience. Dino Digs gives you freaking dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures of all kinds, which means you more or less get to run Jurassic Park. The pack follows the same exact formula of the original game, though, with very few tweaks. Basically, you hire scientists instead of zookeepers and raise dinosaurs, mammoths, and saber-toothed tigers and the like. You have much stronger fences and electrified barriers to try and contain them, and helicopter-equipped dinosaur retrieval teams for when they fail. There's even a scenario that lets you attend to the ruins of Jurassic Park's Isla Nublar, where you rebuild the fences, raise new dinosaurs, and avoid hiring Nedry. It's a fantastic change of aesthetics and gives you some new challenges and ways to kill people, but it's not exactly a huge change to the gameplay. The Marine Mania expansion is more so, and here you can run your own SeaWorld and try your best not to become the focus of an expository documentary. The big change here is the addition of aquatic animals and water-based attractions. Tanks will still need to be filled with the objects that the animals prefer, but thankfully you don't have to worry about insanely precise allotments of floor tiles anymore. Your main objective is to make sure each tank stays clean, healthy, and attended to by marine specialists. You can even connect some of them to special show tanks, so if you have orcas, dolphins, or porpoises, you can train them to put on shows for people. And if you really have no morals, because, hey, it's a game, so who cares, then why not make a shark tank and toss random guests into it for their lunch? Yes, you can do that, and yes, it's as delightfully messed up as it sounds. Overall, Zoo Tycoon is a game of balance, a game of tedious animal care, a game of torturing your fellow man, and it's freaking awesome. While it may have been supplanted by Zoo Tycoon 2 for the most part, the original is still a highly charming and compelling game to play. Isometric business simulations like this will always hold a special place in my heart, and the change of scenery from roller coasters to wildlife was a welcome one. I wish the animals weren't so insanely picky with their surroundings, but hey, I guess if I was going to be caged up for my whole life, I'd be picky too. Sadly, the game has never been released through GOG or anything like that at the time of this review, so you're stuck tracking down the discs if you want to play it. But thankfully, with a minor compatibility tweak or two, it runs great on modern PCs, so if you've never tried it, or simply want to revisit one of these classic Tycoon games, look no further. And if you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy some of my others. I have made some others. Here are some of them right here that you can click on. And there are new videos arriving here on this channel every Monday and Friday, so subscribing is an option if you want to be notified when there's more. You can also follow and interact with me on Twitter and Facebook, as well as support the show in general on Patreon. And it also allows you some extra things like being able to see episodes early. And as always, thank you very much for watching.